Won't you join me?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Carlos Phoenix. We are live, and just making sure that we are, as I always do. We are going to be talking to a special guest today. His name is Marcus Blackwell, and he is a creator of an application called Make Music Count. And Make Music Count is an application to educate young folks with math, and in the process of using that math, you can create music. So before I ruin the whole explanation of the product, let me introduce him. Hello, Marcus. Thank you so much for joining.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So I know I kind of butchered it a little bit, but can you give a better explanation as to what your application does?
Sure. So, Make Music Count is a math curriculum taught by learning how to play the piano. So, we work with third through ninth grade students where we teach them how to solve real math equations, where the answers are the piano notes to play popular songs from the radio. So, you'll either learn how to play a melody or the chords to play some of the most latest hip hop and pop songs that students listen to.
Okay, so this is known music. In other words, they're known songs made by music artists that we might be familiar with. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, and that's actually the point to engage students with songs that they already know, so that the whole intimidation of math will essentially go away.
Nice. Now I've played a little bit with the app. I can't say I was great at it because maybe that's just how bad my math is. It allows you to, you kind of have to know a little bit of your music notes too. Is that right?
Well, so in the app, there you have to know what the piano notes are called. So the white notes are C, D, E, F, G, A, and B, and then the black notes are your sharps and flats. But from there, it's really just applying our understanding of how I redefined the piano. So we're now going to look at the piano as if it were a number line. And what we're counting or applying the math to are essentially the movements between notes. So in music, if you were to move from the note C to the note C sharp, that's called a half step. And so instead of saying that, I changed that to an equation. So now we're replacing the word half step with the number half. And then we rewrote that expression as C plus the number half equals C sharp. So now we've essentially eliminated the need for music theory, and you can just apply your knowledge of how a number line works. So when you add, you'll count moving to the right. When you'll subtract, you count moving to the left. And
Okay,
that's basically the foundation of how it works. And
that's
there's,
kind of
of
neat.
course, tutoring and training that's in the app as well. So we wouldn't just throw you into a song right away. You'll get to practice first.
Nice. So right now on the screen, let me put that up for you. You have a few lessons already on the top. You would sign up for the application. Now the application, as far as I know, is 100% free. Is that right?
Yes, yes, it is. This is essentially our first version, and we just want to get people to try out this new way to learn math. And we made it completely free. There are 10 songs for you to learn, everything from applying your understanding of adding and subtracting fractions to some algebra problems where you would solve for x or substitute some variables, understanding your order of operations. We just want people to test it out and have some fun with it before we move into our freemium model, which would have the complete curriculum, anything you would subscribe that way.
Now, Marcus, before we go too deep into the app, can you tell us a little bit about your background? Get us an idea of why it is that you're doing this application and how it became that you put it together, things of that nature. Let's get familiar with the process.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Windsor, Connecticut, and I've started playing the piano at the age of 5, and I learned classical and jazz and gospel piano. And ironically, I wasn't that good at math because not because I couldn't do it, but because I wasn't provided the extra help that I needed to understand. And so that's essentially the foundation of where this came from. I had this math phobia that stayed with me from middle school to high school. And it was just because I believed a teacher that told me that math was hard. And so um, I had to take matters into my own hands because in my household, it's not acceptable to not get good grades. So I used what I knew best, which was playing the piano. And so I realized that playing the piano made math feel better because you need one to learn the other, right? So, um, and that really kind of stayed with me. When I went to college at Morehouse in Atlanta, Georgia, major to
Oh,
into
your internet's skipping a little bit, but it's back now.
a little bit.
No, you're
Okay.
fine. You're fine.
No, I was just
So you said
saying that.
you went to college in Morehouse, Georgia. Go ahead.
Yep, I went to college and I majored in math to kind of prove to myself that it would no longer intimidate me, but also with the hope that this idea that I had from middle school and high school of using music would help get me through it. And that's really what happened. My senior thesis was on the connection between the two. I just asked my professors if they would support me, investigating this, and they said yeah. So that planted the seed for okay, this is something real, and it became a little bit more real because when you major in math, it really changes the way that you look at things, and so the piano as a number line kind of started there. And so I'm the musician in the circle of my friends, and so they would always ask me to teach them how to play, the latest song or anything like that. And so normally that's difficult because when you teach somebody the piano, you have to use music theory terms, and since they don't know that, it's like, okay, well, how am I going to teach you? And then that's how I created this method of using counting and numbers to replace music theory. And so what started out as a fun way to teach my friends then became a way that I volunteered. And while I was working, when I first graduated, I went to work for GE as an engineer. And once a week, I would go back and teach this method as a way just to volunteer and give back to one of the local middle schools. And I did that for about 6 months, just creating new lessons, new songs, keeping up with what the kids like to listen to. And then after that, 6 months of essentially doing this, it was like, okay, I've got all these lessons from 2 Chainz to Justin Timberlake to Taylor Swift to Beyonce. And I was like, what is this? And that's how I created my first workbook. And so for the past 6 years, before we were an application, we were an after school enrichment program. We would partner with school districts, and I would go into the schools with pianos and workbooks, and I would train and hire college students to teach these lessons after school. So we were doing this, and we worked with about 60 schools through 8 different states along the East Coast, and that's how we really started growing. But after these past 6 years, I realized that even though we were growing okay, we weren't reaching enough students because in the after school program, all the kids don't go, number one. And then my class size was a max of maybe 20 students. So I was thinking, how can we work with more kids? Because we're seeing fantastic results. Like the engagement is through the roof, kids' confidence in math is going up. So I had to figure out a way to help us work with more kids. And so the way that I did that was by taking our class experience and putting it on iPads and tablets. Because what I realized is that all the schools have already purchased iPads and tablets for their classrooms, but they don't necessarily have enough content. And so now it opened up a whole world of, yeah, that's the piano works. It opened up a whole new world of instruction. Now we weren't going to be limited to the after school space. Now we'll be able to teach during the school day and be used as a math supplement. So that's how we got to this new app.
Now, here's what I like about the app. The fact it's one thing to learn music with the math, and I get that part. But the fact that you have songs from known artists. So explain to me a little bit about how that came to be, how you were able to go after that.
Um, so what's actually kind of funny is that growing up in my house, hip hop on the piano really wasn't, I don't want to say allowed, but wasn't really encouraged. So that's really the ironic piece about this is how I came to use these great songs. And so it came through my first presentation at the first school that I was volunteering at. So I said, hey, I'm going to create songs and we're going to do math equations. And the lady was just listening. She was just kind of looking around and listening. She was like, I love this. She said, but can you just do some 2 Chainz? And I was like, yeah, yeah. And it was just funny that I had never really thought about doing that because you can't bring religious music into the school. So I was kind of stuck. And that was my first lesson was I'm Different by 2 Chainz. And from there, that's why I was like, oh, wow, it just opened up a whole, world of opportunity. So, of course, using artist music, you think about their royalties, that's their property. So I became a member of ASCAP and have a blanket license to use their entire library within the app because it's for education and it was just the right time and it's a new thing that they're doing and yeah, we now can use the entire library so any artist's music can be transformed into math equations and played in the app.
That's so wild. So they're saying that ASCAP's allowing you to have the whole library of music. And is there a charge when people use it, or how does that work?
You were breaking up a little bit. Can you repeat your question?
My apologies. So when someone is playing a song, let's say with 2 Chainz, um,
Yep.
is there a royalty that goes back to 2 Chainz, or how does that work?
Um, that's really back on ASCAP's side, but essentially it's creating more awareness. They're not purchasing any music, but what the idea would be is that this will encourage more kids to go and buy their songs again.
Nice, slick. So
Yeah.
let's take a look at the app. And folks, if your experience is really poor as far as watching the show, my internet does kind of fluctuate, but we'll try and stay on as long as we can. All right, so let's take a look at the app. There's the main screen. So if you can tell us a little bit about what we're looking at now.
Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a working piano at the bottom of the screen. And
Yep.
yep. And so the way that we're going to be using the app is for a couple of ways. So I had mentioned that we're going to be working during the school day. So that's why the points and the leaderboard would essentially be a class, right? So when schools license this for the year, the teachers will input their students and the leaderboard is just to enhance a little bit of competitiveness. And then the progress bar on the left will essentially show you um, how far you are in the lessons, as well as what the math means as far as your understanding as you go through the music lesson. So let's go through a lesson. You can click start your lesson.
All right, very good.
So let's do Flex by Rich Homie Quan. That's that first one there.
Which one?
The first one on the left.
Okay, let's hit that.
Right. So the way this works, as I mentioned, we're counting the movements between notes. So E +1 means that you would move 2 half steps because there's 2 halves in one, right?
Okay.
So starting on the E all the way to the left,
Right.
what you're going to do is that you're going to push your answer. And so the answer to E +1 would be F sharp, and you would push F sharp.
F sharp, gotcha. All right, so now it goes to the next question.
Next question is F sharp +1. Here, you can do this one, Carlos.
So that'll be G sharp.
Yep.
So G sharp plus half, that'd be A.
Mm-hmm. And before you answer this last one, we're going to actually push the wrong answer. So go ahead and
Okay.
just push E for me. Yeah,
now,
so
now that's an image of you. Is that right?
it is. And so I kind of just created the character to help you get through the lesson, to encourage and to just add some more fun. So okay, you can click the screen again.
All right.
So
So A
now A
minus 4 is,
for
so that's F. Oh, no, it's not F.
it's not F. It's because so remember you have to count by halves, right? So four whole steps or eight half steps to the left because we're subtracting.
Oh, I see. Okay, so
Now be careful. Moving from F to E is a half step, not a whole step. There you go.
awesome.
So click the screen again,
All right.
and you're going to click play. And so what you're essentially going to do, that answer bank up top, the notes aren't
Think it's a game.
play along with the song. F sharp, E sharp, A, C sharp.
Okay, so this is my horrible music playback.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'm not that great at this.
All right. You can stop. You can stop. so,
All right. So
so
that's cool that the song
now,
actually plays in the background.
yes, yes, and you actually play along. It gives you the feeling of actually playing the song. There was one thing I wanted to show you on that last page.
Okay. Oops.
Yeah, on the test question. If we're able to just kind of go back through it real quick, you don't have to play the song to
Sure.
get to it, but just to answer the questions really quick, because F sharp is that answer, then G sharp, then A, then C sharp. Yep, and tap the screen. Okay, so click test question. So the test question is important because we want to relay the message to students that if you can solve the music lesson understanding mathematics, then that means that you just understand the math altogether. So we are essentially testing them on the exact math that just used in the music lesson. So every test, this one is 3 plus half, which is 3.5. So you would just push that answer. And then the best part is you get the most points with the math test question. So you're going to get points along the way with the music lesson, but there's an extra incentive to get your math question right. Remember, because we're trying to tie this all back to, hey, you're going to get better at math. You should feel good about your math as well. So
Now we did get a question by Barb. Sorry, Barb. Does the app call in multiple genres of music? This is so rad.
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So if you click the Make Music Count logo at the top of the page to go back to the song selections, that's actually the beauty of.
I lost you a little bit. You said any kind of song, something.
Yes, any type of song can be used. Any type of song.
So, and do you already have that in here, or?
No, so right now they're just a sample of 10 songs, but I'm creating, the way that I'm creating the next version is so that I can implement and essentially input every type of song that I'd like instantly. So whenever I want to make a new song, make a new lesson, I can go into my back end and just put them in. But nope, the point is for every type of song to be used here because everyone's different, right? I mean, even if you think outside of the US, we want to be able to use every type of cultural music to connect with their students so that they can do their math. So not even just English speaking songs, but any type of music. As long as I can break down the music to play it on the piano, it can be applied here.
That's awesome. Okay, so as our internet is starting to get all jabby-jabbly in the middle of the afternoon, or well, still morning on this side of town. But awesome, Marcus. This is so cool. I really am looking forward to the future of your application, and I'm hoping that this grows for you. So, what are your next steps? What are your next plans?
So the plans for this application is to, number one, become a great example of how to use STEAM. So that's the arts integration of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We want to essentially be the assistants in the classroom for students that may need extra help, and we just need to connect the dots a little bit easier. So we're always looking for new school districts to partner with to license our curriculum. And we're also looking for partnerships with other educational platforms. So um, those that already may have a following and are all about offering new content, we'd like to work with you to offer a new way to teach math. So we're just really looking excited about how this is going to expand, and who knows what it'll even become, right? So, I'm anticipating that even some musicians will like to use this for a neat way to learn how to play the piano. So right now we're just doing fractions, algebra, but there's so much more math that connects to this. So I'm really looking forward to, not just working with third and ninth graders, but even higher level education as well.
I love it. And so, all right, so our internet's really going to start to kick our butts. So I want to make sure that we let give you an opportunity to tell people how to follow you. Were you able to hear me?
You were breaking up a little bit. You said give an opportunity for what?
So people can learn how to follow you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you can first go to www.makemusiccount.com. We're on Instagram, which is just at Make Music Count. We're on Twitter. It's at underscore Make Music Count. And we have a Facebook page as well, which you could just look up Make Music Count LLC.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Marcus, for joining us. Guys, I hope you guys will follow and check out the website. Also, download the app on your tablet.
Oh,
If you have,
yes. So
if you have students, go ahead.
the app is available for iPads and all Android products, so phones and tablets. The iPhone version will be available this upcoming July, but we definitely want people to sign up now, and then they'll be able to get the updates later.
Sweet. All right. Well, thank you so much, Marcus, for just not only developing such a great application, but being able to come online with me and do this quick show explaining the application. Glad we were able to demonstrate it and everything. And if you come up with any other ideas, feel free to let us know, and I'm sure we can then do a better show.
Absolutely.
That's not going to break up on us with the internet. All right. Well, thank you so much for
No,
joining.
no,
Those
it's
who
all
have joined, thank you, Martha. I see Martha's here, and Barb, who had joined us earlier. We'll try and put both pieces together. I know it restarted the live feed, so I'll put that together, and then I'll put it out on YouTube if you want to then share that onto your website.
yeah, that'd be great.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining. Have a great day, everybody. Take care.
Carlos.